Are you ready for the Survivor Series? That's actually a quote from the beginning of a WrestleMania theme song. Why they talked about Survivor Series in a WrestleMania theme, I do not know. But anyways, Survivor Series takes place in Chicago, Illinois tonight from the Allstate Arena, which is the same venue that hosted Survivor Series 30 years ago in 1989. So a bit of a homecoming for the Survivor Series. We have our panel on the pre-show. You get Charlie Caruso, who's very good. Jonathan Coachman, David Otunga, Booker T. People came in and out. They had Shawn Michaels come in for a while. They preview all the matches, stuff like that. You have Sam Roberts and JBL doing the entrance rep duties. We see some video packages. And while Shawn Michaels came, he announced NXT's team. You have Damian Priest, Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, Walter, and Tommaso Ciampa. And they already announced the women's teams last night. So we have Kathy Kelly backstage. She interviews Adam Cole, Bebe. And I don't like that Adam Cole's wrestling. I think he probably should lose because he's not 100% on Raw. He has a fight with Raw and SmackDown and NXT, the big brawl. Then, of course, there's the brutal ladder match on NXT. Then on Friday with SmackDown, he has another big brawl. And then on Saturday, last night, he is almost murdered by Tommaso Ciampa. So I think he probably should lose, but I think he'll probably be done. We see another interview. You have Kayla Braxton interviewing Bayley. Not a very good promo by Bayley, I have to admit. Next, we have the Tag Team Battle Royal. This was just announced to be on the pre-show. This is like a meaningless match. You have Ziggler and Rude against the Street Profits, the OC Revival, Forgotten Sons, Ryder and Hawkins, Breezango, Lucha House Party, Heavy Machinery, and Imperium. It was okay. Came down to Street Profits and Rude Ziggler, and Rude Ziggler get the win. So SmackDown wins the first fall. They're up 1-0. And just a meaningless match. Next, they show Christian, who he joins the panel, and you have some CM Punk chants, which are kind of annoying now. We had a triple threat match, Leo Rush against Kalisto against Akira Tozawa. Leo Rush retains. Didn't really give a shit at all, so it's 1-1-1 now. NXT gets their first win of the night. It's 1-1, no. Raw still has yet to win. So I think they added the tag team match, a triple threat tag match to the pre-show, so I assume Raw's probably going to win, so we'll go at 1-1-1 into the main show. Kathy interviewed the New Day backstage. They get out, and that's our next match. Triple threat tag match. You have the New Day against the Undisputed Era from NXT, and for Raw, you have the Viking Raiders. Tag team match was pretty good. It was a solid matchup. You had some cool spots on the outside. War Raiders get the win. No surprise there, and we're all tied up. NXT won, SmackDown won, Raw won. Survivor Series main card begins now. Survivor Series opened up with a pretty good video package highlighting Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. And as I said before, it's 1-1-1. So there's 4 matches on the show that are going to be Raw against SmackDown against NXT, and the winner gets brand supremacy. And there's 3 other title matches, which are just for their individual brands. So we start off with the Women's Survivor Series elimination match. Like we start off with that every year for some reason. They always start with the woman. And you get, each team doesn't get an entrance as individuals. Instead, they just come out to the theme music of the TV show. The SmackDown woman came out. You had Sasha Banks, who's captain, with Carmella, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, and Nikki Cross. Then Raw came out with Charlotte Flair as captain. She was with Natalya, Asuka, Kairi, Sane, and Sarah Logan. And then finally, Team NXT came out with Rhea Ripley as captain, who was with Toni Storm, Bianca Belair, Io Shirai, and Candice LeRae. So we finally get to see Toni Storm. She never even had a match on NXT in the U.S., but she wrestles first on the main roster in the States. That's her first big match in the WWE outside of the U.K. She was pretty popular. She got a good reaction. You had a lot of action early in the match where people get involved. Everyone hits their finishers. Everyone hits the ring. People go to the outside. There's chaos. There's melee. A lot of people getting involved. And it was a little bit too choreographed for me. People, all the women, they're waiting for the other one to finish up so they can get in the ring. It was very choreographed, but it was fun. They do that every Survivor Series match. What happened is, out of nowhere, there was not a huge spot, but I guess from the moves they took, Io Shirai and Candice LeRae, their bodies gave out. And they explained it because of the War Games match the night before. And they're out. So the three other NXT women are checking on them. And Io and Candice are taking them to the back. And they're eliminated. And it does make sense now. Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley were both in War Games. They were not taken out of this match. But the one thing is, Io and Candice in that match took a lot more punishment than anyone else. You know, Candice did the big reverse hurricane run onto Kaylee Ray from the top of the cage, which was brutal. Io Shirai does a fucking moonsault from the top of the cage. So they were both really sore and their bodies gave out when they were eliminated. Until that didn't really hold up till the end. But that's how they got rid of Io and Candice right away. So Bianca Belair's in the ring for a while. She eliminates Nikki Cross, which was a good win for her. Then she also eliminates Sarah Logan. So Bianca got to shine. She wrestled Charlotte for a while. She had a standoff. Carmella gets in the ring later, and Carmella's awful, but Charlotte thankfully eliminates Carmella. Kairi Sane comes in the ring. She's really good. She hits her elbow, but as soon as she hits it, Sasha Banks comes out of nowhere, hits her with a big knee. Sasha Banks eliminates Kairi Sane. Asuka's in the match. She eliminates Dana Brooke after, and she's pissed off after Kairi gets out, so she takes out Dana Brooke. She fights with Charlotte, and they're on the same team, but there was a tag, and Asuka was mad at Charlotte, tagged herself in. They fight. Charlotte throws Asuka to the ground. Charlotte's bragging. However, Asuka gets up, and she spits the mist into Charlotte. Charlotte's out cold. She uses the mist. She fucks up Charlotte, and then Lacey Evans KOs Charlotte with a big woman's right. Lacey Evans pins Charlotte Flair. Charlotte's out. That was a big surprise that they pulled that angle, but they had to protect Charlotte in a way, and that was fine. So Lacey then gets eliminated quickly by Natalya. So Natalya taps out Lacey, and she gets her out of the match. And eventually what you have is Sasha Banks and Natalya are together, and they're against Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Toni Storm. All three of the women in NXT are still alive. It was similar to what happened the night before on it with NXT. So Sasha and Natalya are forced to have an alliance. They work together. First, they take out Toni Storm. They take out Toni Storm to the double submission. Natalya gets a sharpshooter, and then Sasha Banks gets a bank statement. Look really cool and really brutal. Toni Storm taps out. Then right after Toni's out, Bianca Belair goes out. They get her quickly. They hit her with the heart attack. Natalya gets the position her father was in. Sasha does the position Bret Hart's in. 1, 2, 3. Bianca Belair is out quickly. Now it's a triple threat match with Sasha, Natalya, and Rhea. However, Sasha immediately punches Natalya with a cheap shot and pins her. So the eliminations were a bit too quick. Was not a fan of it. The final ending of the match got good with Rhea and Sasha. They had a good women's match. They're both very talented. However, Io Shirai and Candice LeRae were never officially eliminated, I guess. They return, and they're both involved. So Io and Candice are in the match. Looks like Sasha is about to hit a big move, but Io does a big springboard dive, and then Ripley hits her finisher, pins Sasha Banks, 1, 2, 3. I also have to say I was a huge fan of the way Rhea Ripley pinned Sasha Banks. Thank you, Rhea, for that. However, she pins Sasha, and it's over. Team NXT with the big win. They celebrate all four women. Rhea, Toni, Bianca, Io, and Candice all celebrate the big win for NXT. They beat the women win. And nice win for Rhea Ripley. What a great weekend for her, pinning Shayna Baszler and Sasha Banks in back-to-back nights. So NXT up now. It's 2 NXT 2, SmackDown 1, Raw 1. They did something backstage with Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. All I can think of is how unlikable Seth Rollins is. It's just no one really cared about the segment. It was boring. Next, we go to a triple threat brand supremacy match. All the mid-card champions. You have AJ Styles against Shinsuke Nakamura against Roderick Strong. They get individual entrances this time. So the match started off pretty slow. It was kind of boring at first. I was like, all right, let's go. The fans were a bit into the women's match a bit more. So, I mean, this is kind of a Survivor Series where the Survivor Series is built around the elimination matches. When they have other matches, it does kind of feel out of place. But it started off a bit slow, but you know what? It got really, really good. That was surprising. I really got into it near the end. There was a really great spot. It was like this cool Doomsday Device spot. Instead of Nakamura doing the clothesline, AJ has a Roderick up. Instead of Nakamura coming off with the clothesline, he comes off with a kick. That looked really cool. Roderick Strong gets taken out in the match, so he's on the ground, and it goes on for AJ and Nakamura have a very good singles match for a while. All I can think of is, why didn't they have this match last year at WrestleMania? at 34. Why did they do that match? That match was so disappointing. They actually kind of avenged it. They had a horrible feud with kicking each other in the balls. They avenged it here, and we're looking forward to it, but, I'm glad that they did it well here. The fans got into it. AJ and Nakamura have good chemistry. It finally ends. AJ gets a phenomenal form on Shinsuke Nakamura. AJ's about to win. Roderick Strong out of nowhere throws AJ out of the ring and pins Nakamura and gets the win. Roderick Strong with the win. Big upset here. I don't think many people were expecting that. He gets it, and NXT now up 3-1. So NXT basically clinches right here because they didn't clinch the win, but there's nothing Raw or SmackDown can do to win now. So NXT at least forced the tie. Miz and Daniel Bryan backstage. I guess Miz is next for The Fiend. I don't know what they're doing. So next went to the NXT Championship match. You had Adam Cole defending his title against Pete Dunne. So Adam Cole has taken a beating the last few weeks. I've gone over it before. In this match, he has his ribs taped up, which really made sense. I'm glad they went that route because, the guy's taken such a beating this past week. He's on 100%. Pete Dunne's very talented. Fans got into this quickly. They were really into it. And I thought this match was fantastic. This was the match of the night without question, in my opinion. I loved it. I knew this would be the best match going in, but this really delivered. So you had Pete Dunne getting the heat on Adam Cole. He does the finger stuff early. I like Pete Dunne, but I think he overdoes it with the fingers. It's painful as hell, but he just does it too much now. That's the problem. So at first the crowd's kind of quiet, which is like, all right, let's get into it. But man, they started to pick up into it later, and these guys really kicked it into high gear. Pete Dunne kicked out of the last shot, which was a big surprise. I thought the match was over. Pete Dunne kicks out. Then all of a sudden, Pete Dunne hits the big ending. 1, 2, Adam Cole kicks out. That was a great sequence. Now, the match goes into a different gear once this happens. Pete Dunne goes for a moonsault, but Adam Cole catches him with a super kick on his way down, which looked nasty. And the craziest spot of the whole night was Adam Cole hits a Panama Sunrise on the apron to Pete Dunne. That was fantastic. I sometimes complain about too many Canadian destroys, but if you're going to do it, make it really meaningful. This is an example of how they made it meaningful on the apron, and the match ended after that. Pete Dunne is able to somehow recover, but Adam Cole is able to reverse Pete Dunne's finisher, the big ending, into another Panama Sunrise, which looked great. He hits a last shot for the second time, gets the win. Adam Cole defeats Pete Dunne, retains the NXT title. Hell of a match up here, great. And after the match, the Undisputed Era comes out and celebrates with Adam Cole. Roderick Strong also with the win. However, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly lost. However, they're still champs, so Undisputed Era celebrates on the main roster pay-per-view. All 4 of them, the NXT champions, in a great matchup. Next, we went to another title match, and this was the WWE Universal Championship match. Daniel Bryan against The Fiend. When Daniel Bryan comes out, he gets a decent reaction. The Fiend has such a great entrance. It's still great. It hasn't gone old yet. I love the mounted head. I think that's so cool, of the old Bray Wyatt. And that's just really awesome. And the entrance is great. I hate the red light. I'm so sick of it. I know they did the thing with Kane 20 years ago with the stupid red light. Eventually they axed it. But I guess that's what they're just going to do. They're just going to keep going with this fucking red light. No one likes it. But it's there. And it started off slow. The Fiend dominated the match at first. Daniel Bryan really didn't do much. He didn't really have much offense. It looked like, all right, is this going to be a squash? But Daniel Bryan fights back against The Fiend, and he goes after The Fiend, and the fans start to lose their mind. This is Daniel Bryan in the match. This reminded me of similar to the match they had at the Royal Rumble about 4 or 5 years ago. I think in 2014, almost 6 years ago, actually. They had a fantastic match at the Royal Rumble. That was the one Daniel Bryan wasn't in. This wasn't as good as that, but it reminded me because Daniel Bryan really got the fans were so into him, and this kind of reminds me because the way he's able to get the fans, he still has that emotional connection with the fans. And when he fought back, the fans were in him with his comeback. He hits a big knees onto The Fiend outside. He does a big dive off the apron with his knees. He does a dive off the top rope. There's a bit too shaky cam. Kevin Dunn, thank you, asshole. But the shaky cam was a bit too much for that stuff, but he's still doing really, really well. Fans are going crazy for Daniel Bryan. This got really, really exciting. He hits the running knee after everything. Hit the Fiend with everything. 1, 2, Fiend kicks out. Fiend is able to get more control over the match. It's a bad break for Daniel Bryan. Eventually, the Fiend gets the mandible claw. Daniel Bryan fights out. He fights, but he goes out. He's down. 1, 2, 3. The Fiend retains the WWE Universal Championship. Damn, this was a very good match. This is Daniel Bryan at his best. Really enjoyed this. They go backstage and we see Sarah Screamer. She interviews Rey Mysterio. Decent promo by Rey, but we all know he's not winning. I mean, the only way he could have won was if Kane got involved. I guess Kane Velasquez is having knee surgery, so no Kane tonight. Next, we go to the men's elimination Survivor Series match. 5-on-5-on-5. On Team Raw, you have Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Ricochet. Team SmackDown is Roman Reigns, Mustafa Ali, Braun Strowman, Shorty G, and King Corbin. Finally, on Team NXT, Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, Damian Priest, Matt Riddle, and Walter. So the matchup here, I thought they did really well. I thought it started off slow. I thought there was a lot of eliminations because there's so many guys in the match. It was a very pro NXT crowd, and the most over guy in the match was the guy who was eliminated first, was Walter. McIntyre eliminates Walter 1, 2, 3, to himself. Really? Why? Why would you beat Walter that quickly? He's the UK champion. Why'd you beat him like that? Fans love Walter, and they're furious, they're pissed off, and they're not taking out a McIntyre, and they start chanting bullshit and CM Punk. I think to myself, oh no, they're going to ruin the match because you beat Walter. They didn't ruin the match, but Walter's out quickly after Drew McIntyre eliminates him. Later, Kevin Owens would eliminate Shorty G. Then there's a whole bunch of eliminations. Tommaso Ciampa eliminates Kevin Owens after he helped him out the last night. Quickly disposes of KO after the favor. Then you had Randy Orton eliminate Damian Priest with an RKO. Matt Riddle does a big surprise roll-up on Randy Orton and eliminates Randy Orton, which was a big surprise. So Orton's out. Immediately, Randy Orton hits an RKO on Matt Riddle, takes him out, and then Baron Corbin gets on Matt Riddle and gets the 3 count. So you have Baron Corbin eliminating Matt Riddle, which the fans hated. Everyone was pissed off about that. They teased Braun Strowman and Kevin Lee, which was cool. Strowman does the big run into everyone. However, there's a collision on the outside with Braun Strowman and Kevin Lee, and because of that, Braun Strowman is counted out. So Strowman is eliminated by countouts, and we go back into the ring, and no Strowman. After that, you have Baron Corbin eliminate Ricochet, which the fans hated. Everyone hated that. You had Seth Rollins eliminate Mustafa Ali with the curb stomp. But that was good, but he has problems with Corbin, and Corbin fucks it up. That leads to dissension with Reigns and Corbin. Crazy stuff going on the outside. There's a CM Punk chant. It was pretty loud. Roman Reigns eliminates Drew McIntyre, and after that, him and Corbin have a war of words. Reigns hits a Superman punch, and a spear takes out Baron Corbin, but he says, partner, you can't eliminate him, and then Ciampa looks what happens. He pins Baron Corbin, and Ciampa eliminates Corbin. Then you had Seth Rollins eliminate Tommaso Ciampa. That got some heat, and Reigns, Ciampa, and Rollins had a good triple threat match. Even teased the Shield powerbomb on the outside before Keith Lee broke it up, but Ciampa's out. Eventually, Keith Lee eliminates Seth Rollins cleanly, which was a surprise, so Keith Lee takes out Rollins. Comes down to Roman Reigns and Keith Lee. They have a good singles match. It's a battle. Reigns pins him. It was kind of a bullshit finish. Fans were a little bit mad, but they weren't furious. Reigns gets the big win over Lee, and after the match, Reigns shows Keith Lee respect, gives him the fist bump, so they really built him up. Keith Lee, it was a good showing for him. He'll still be in NXT for a while, I assume, but this was a great showing. But Roman Reigns with the win, and that gives the win to SmackDown. So we're all kind of having the opposite of last year. Everybody swept everyone last year, now not so much. So NXT has 3 wins, SmackDown 2, and Raw with just 1. He went to a long Becky Lynch promo, was not good, went on way, way too long. Up next, WWE Championship, no holds barred. Brock Lesnar against Rey Mysterio. So there's obviously a massive size difference. The story was Rey Mysterio would not let go of the pipe. He knew if he loses the pipe, he's dead. So he holds onto the pipe for a while. Brock kills him for a while, as we expect. It was kind of boring, just Brock throwing him places, murders Rey Mysterio, destroys him, even gives him a German suplex onto the pipe, which looked really painful. Dominic comes out, it looks like he has a towel. That's right, that's it. He's throwing the towel for his father. Brock goes after Dominic. He's going to beat him up again. Dominic is scared, but Rey Mysterio hits a low blow on Brock. Then Dominic hits a low blow on Brock. And then Rey starts to beat down Lesnar. He wails into him with the lead pipe, beats the shit out of him with this pipe. Dominic starts beating down Lesnar with the chair, which was good. They beat him down. Then they both hit a double 619, and then they both do a frog splash. First, Dominic does the frog splash, and Rey does the frog splash, a tribute to Eddie. Dominic goes on top of Rey for the win on Brock. 1, 2, Brock kicks out. The fans lost their mind. They lost their mind when this happened. This was so exciting. Like, oh my God, is Rey going to win? First split second, holy shit, Rey's going to win. But Brock kicks out. And eventually, Dominic goes to the top again, but Brock sets up. He hits a German suplex onto Dominic. Rey sees this. He goes from the top rope, jumps up to Brock. Brock catches Rey, hits him with an F5. 1, 2, 3. Brock Lesnar finishes Rey Mysterio and finishes this feud. So Lesnar retains the WWE Championship. Rey and Dominic fall short. They gave Brock everything they had, but Lesnar retains, and that's the end of this run. I don't know when he's going to face Kane again. I'm sure they'll fight again soon, but Brock is done with Rey, and that should be the end for this. Brock is still the WWE Champion. Main event time, women's triple threat. So a women's triple threat main event WrestleMania for the first time, and now a women's triple threat main event Survivor Series for the first time. You have Raw, SmackDown, NXT. So Raw's limited, and it feels like Becky's role is not as big because Raw's out. Like, there's nothing to do with Raw. You have Becky, who's the Raw Women's Champion, Bayley, the SmackDown Women's Champion, and Shayna Baszler, NXT Women's Champion. And man, did Bayley ever feel like an afterthought in this match, and that was not good. So in the match, all I can think of, it's the main event because Ronda's going to help Shayna win, and she's going to return. It's going to set up Ronda, Becky in the rematch at WrestleMania. No Ronda Rousey tonight. Not even to mention, no Ronda. I thought she'd come up for sure. And the match they have reminded me exactly of the match Becky had with Ronda and Charlotte at this year's WrestleMania 35. It felt so much like that. It's a long show. The fans are worn out. Everyone's tired. Everyone's exhausted. They kind of want the show to be over. They want to enjoy the match, but just, everyone's exhausted. They spent all their energy. And that's all. It was like a mirror image of it. It's like, oh, I know. Let this end. I kind of want to go home. Kind of want the show to be over. It's been such a long show. It's a long triple threat match. NXT's already practically clinched. I mean, they can't lose. It's only going to be a tie, and there's nothing on the line. So it was what it was. They want to get Baszler over. I don't see her as a star. The fans were not that into her. There was even a CM Punk chant a couple of times. They were not too into it. It was uneventful. I just didn't get into it. That's all it reminded me of was like, oh, that women's match at WrestleMania. It was like I was watching the same thing. There were some cool spots. I mean, they worked hard. Becky worked really hard. Shayna worked hard. Bayley worked hard. In the end, what you have here is how it ends was Baszler gets the upper hand. She kind of powerbombs Becky onto the announcer's table. Looks like that's it for Becky, and Becky's out of the match. Baszler and Bayley go to the ring. They battle back. Baszler gets the coquina clutch, whatever it's called, and it's over. Yeah, Bayley taps out. Shayna Baszler wins the main event. I don't see Shayna Baszler as a star at all. I just do not see her as a kind of really underwhelming main event. I don't see why they keep pushing her like this. It was what it was. The show ended. Baszler destroys Bayley. Bayley's a complete afterthought. She's back to being the loser that they made her out to be. No Ronda Rousey, and it just ends at Shayna Baszler celebrating. She stands over Bayley, and she goes to stand over Becky. Becky gets up like a sore loser. Shayna just stood over her, but Becky comes back, beats up Shayna, and she dives off the barricade onto Shayna through the announce table, and Becky stands tall, even though her brand got her ass kicked. Baszler wins, but Becky wins, and they set up Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler, maybe after a Royal Rumble. That's how they would think, and that's how the show ended. So, Survivor Series was a good show overall. It was all right. I was looking for more. I was waiting for this match to end so I can watch the Stone Cold Undertaker interview. That's all I was thinking. Let this end, but that's it. So NXT with the win. NXT wins Survivor Series. The final tally is NXT with 4 wins, SmackDown with 2, and Raw with 1. And that was it for Survivor Series, which was a pretty decent show.